Hey, this is Suzanne Mosley with Usborne Books and More. I wanted to share with you today some of Usborne's titles that will be helpful resources for you when you have to have some difficult conversations with your children. And the three books that I want to share with you today are related to death, and they're related to dealing with the elderly. So the first one that I want to show you is by Mem Fox. The title is Wilfrid Gordon McDonald Partridge, and that's the little boy in the book. And in the book, he becomes dear friends. He lives right beside a nursing home or old folks home, and he becomes friends with many of the people that live there. And his closest friend there is Nancy Allison Delacourt Cooper, because she has four names like he does, and she is in her 90s, and he overhears his parents talking one day about how she has lost her memory. And so he goes through and asks many of the residents what a memory is, and they tell him many different things. And in the end, he asks his friend Nancy what memories were to her. And so she shares with him, and then he collects some of his items that cheer him up and that are helpful, and he puts them in a little basket, and he goes and shares them with Nancy, and they turn too many pages. They help her remember things from her childhood. And it's hard for me to even read this book without crying. It's just so beautiful. So she remembers being a child. She remembers different toys that she plays with. She remembers a brother that was killed in the war. And in the end, she smiles. And she's so thankful for Wilfrid Gordon because he helped her remember. So if you have a child who has a grandparent who is dealing with Alzheimer's or dementia, this is a great book just to read initially and to be a springboard for you to have a conversation with them about what that means and what it looks like and just the challenges that go along with that. So that's Wilfrid Gordon McDonald Partridge. And then these last two are books that you can use when talking with children about death. And What Comes After 1,000 is the first one, and Here in the Garden is the second one. I'll start with What Comes After 1,000. The little girl in the book has a little friend named Otto, who's a little cute little old man, and they love to count together and talk about things that they enjoy, and they have lots and lots of adventures. And sadly, as the book goes on, Otto is ill, and Lisa realizes it, and he does end up passing away. And at the funeral, she gets really upset because everyone was being quiet and everyone was sad, and she was dancing, but they just looked at her strangely. But she wanted to dance because Otto would have wanted to dance, and so she leaves, and she is remembering him, and as she looks around and sees so many things they did together, she remembers him. And then there's a sweet moment at the end with her mother, and they talk together about how she can envision, if she closes her eyes, she can imagine a cherry cake, and her mother tells her that that's the same, just like she can imagine a cherry cake in her mind. She can also imagine Otto and remember him and remember all the fun things that they did together, and that he's always with her. And just like numbers, which was their fun thing to do together, was to count. It ends saying that just like numbers never end, so does your memory and your relationship with Otto. So that's a great, wonderful book for dealing with death. And then Here in the Garden doesn't talk explicitly about death or show like a funeral scene like in What Comes After 1,000, but it just talks about missing a person. It talks about how they're not there anymore, and just the things that they used to do together, and many of the places that they went and experienced. and how they would be in the garden together. And so it just talks about their shared experiences and how they miss one another. And then at the very end, I go outside and I find you in the memories in the garden and my heart. So you can use this book to talk with your children about death and loss without, the book doesn't use that word, so it's maybe a little gentler conversation starter about death, but it talks about remembering and having memories and those shared experiences, so that the child can remember the person that is no longer there with them. So I hope these 3 titles will be helpful resources for you with your children, or if you're a teacher in your classroom, or if you're a counselor with some of the children that you're working with. I hope these will be great springboards for you to have some of these difficult conversations that sadly we have to have with children. If you would like to order any of these books, you may do so at my Usborne shop, SuzanneSharesUsborne.com. Thanks so much. You can also find me on Facebook, Suzanne Shares Usborne Books, and you can contact me there. Would love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Have a great day.